I'm Joe Veale, and I have something to say about the Reverend Al Sharpton and the eulogy he gave at the funeral for Tyree Nichols. You saw the video of what the police did to Tyree, right?
Police have released that video showing officers beating Tyre Nichols. The video is every bit as horrific as Memphis officials had warned it would be. Body camera footage and video from surveillance cameras from January 7th show officers hitting, kicking, and pepper spraying Tyre Nichols. In the video, 29-year-old Tyre Nichols can be heard calling out for his mother. Nichols was hospitalized and then died 3 days later.
In that video, you can see he was already on the ground after he was pulled over at that other location. The officers in the video repeatedly punch and kick Nichols over and over again in the video.
Al Sharpton said he was personally insulted when he watched the video.
And the reason why, Mr. and Mrs. Wells, what happened to Tyree is so personal to me is that 5 black men that wouldn't have had a job in the police department would not ever be thought of to be in an elite squad. In the city that Dr. King lost his life, not far away from that balcony, you beat a brother to death. There's nothing more insulting and offensive to those of us that fight to open doors, that you walk through those doors and act like the folks we had to fight for to get you through them doors.
What has happened to the dream, Sharpton asked. The dream King saw when he gave what became his last speech, the mountaintop speech, where King said he has seen the promised land, which according to Sharpton meant seeing Barack Obama becoming president, Kamala Harris vice president, black people becoming both police chiefs.
The last speech he gave right here in Memphis when he went to the mountaintop. I believe when he looked over, he could see a Barack Obama become president. I believe when he went to the mountaintop, he could look over and see a Kamala Harris sitting as vice president. I believe when he looked over from the mountaintop, he saw black police chiefs. What has happened to the dream? In the city where the dreamer laid down and shed his blood, you have the unmitigated gall to beat your brother.
Now, what about this? First of all, America is based on a system, an economic and political system called capitalism and imperialism. From slavery days up to the present, white supremacy has been in its bloodstream. As long as this system that the police serve and protect exists, it will continually murder black people, Latino people, Native American people. Look at reality. Since 1960 up till today, the police have murdered more black people than the KKK lynched after the Civil War up till 1960. The police murder over 1,000 people every year. This has been going on for decades. Last year, they set a new record in the number of people they murdered. You can have 1,000 Barack Obamas, 1,000 black pig chiefs, and black pigs elite and non-elite. They will serve and protect the system that rules over the people. Obama had Kill Tuesdays. Every week, he would gather with his advisors and come up with a list of people to murder with drones in places like Yemen, Pakistan, Libya, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq. After the youth in Baltimore rose up to protest the murder of Freddie Gray, Obama called them thugs But he never called the police who broke Freddie Gray's neck thugs.
A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs.
Fuck Obama. Racial equality is possible, but not under this system. We need revolution to overthrow this system, defeat it, dismantle it, all its institutions, its police, courts, prison, government institutions, military, all of it. Replacing them with new institutions that serve the revolution, serve the people, and most fundamentally serves the struggle to emancipate humanity all over the world. Look again at reality. Most things people in this country use and consume is made by millions and millions of people all over the third world. In Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, Asia. 150 million of those who are making the products we use to live are children. Children without a childhood, because they are in the mines digging out minerals, in the sweatshop making garments and clothes, in the fields cultivating food that people in countries like this one eat. But people in the countries that produce this food die of malnutrition, starvation, and disease in the millions every year. If Al Sharpton's dream is to get inclusion in this parasitic system, no thanks. Look once again at reality. Millions in this country, especially, though not only those in the inner city, have become expendable. This system has no future for millions, especially the youth, especially those who are Black, Latino, and Native American. Millions are in prison. Millions more are in the pipeline. Millions are left in desperate conditions where they are pitted against each other, fighting against each other over petty bullshit, just as a way to make a mark in this dog-eat-dog system. When you hear Biden talk about law and order and fund the police,
the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
This is who he has in his sights. The same ones that the fascists and the Republican Party are preparing to wage a race war against. And this toxic combination of capitalism and white supremacy is hurling society towards genocide in today's conditions. Fuck the police. Sharpton said he is working to pass the George Floyd bill. This bill would allow the family of those murdered by the police to sue the police. It would also outlaw chokeholds. Now, even if this became law, it would not do shit. You have the right now to sue for racial discrimination in applying for jobs, but it does not stop racial discrimination. Chokeholds is only one way the police murder, and it's not even the main way.
We want to see the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act passed. Some of us are going to fight until we make this legislation happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but we won't stop until we hold you accountable.
This is worse than begging. Sharpton is not even pleading to end police murder, let alone the system that requires it. He is crawling, asking to be able to go to court after you do murder us. It's like he's telling the slaves, I'm not going to stop praying until the slave master at least lets us nurse our wounds after he whips us. Now, if we had a system determined to root out oppression and inequality, if we made a revolution, we could stop police murder on day one. It's not that hard, but without revolution, it is impossible. During the eulogy for Tyree Nichols, Sharpton brought some religious mumbo-jumbo about a non-existent God is going to take the death of Tyree and raise it up and make a better world like the non-existent God deal with the death of Joseph and the creation story in the Bible.
I want you to turn your attention very briefly to the 37th chapter of Genesis. It reads, "So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him."
Or how the non-existent God deal with the death and dream of Martin Luther King.
But I come to Memphis today to tell you the same mistake Joseph's brothers made is a mistake you made. You thought you threw Joseph in a pit. You thought you threw Dr. King's dream in a pit. But every time you throw something in a pit, God takes the pit and raises it up and changes the whole world. I believe that God will take him, Tyree, out of that pit and use him as a symbol for justice all over this country.
The slave master gave you Christianity and the Bible. It makes you believe in things that do not exist and think that enduring all this suffering has some higher purpose. Bullshit. It's mental slave chains that went along with the physical slave chains. It's time to let that shit go and deal with reality how it really is so that we can change it. And you can see that pursuing the dream in reality means accepting the lie that there is no other choice but the system, the nightmare for humanity that is capitalism, imperialism. The most you can hope for is getting some people that look like you in position of authority, some laws on paper, while the system acts according to the needs of capitalism, imperialism, with white supremacy in its bloodline. I say no. Once again, look at reality. These are desperate and extreme times we are living in. Time to stop talking foolishness. We have a chance to really make an actual revolution, to really overthrow this capitalist imperialist monster, break it apart, dismantle it, and set up an entirely new socialist system that goes forward in digging up all the white supremacy and other social divisions between people that are deeply rooted in this system. We have the strategy and the leadership for that in Bob Avakian to bring forward millions, and when the conditions are right, to meet and defeat its armed might. A blueprint. We have a blueprint for a new socialist society. We are working for this now and are determined to see it through. Get with this. Get with the RevComs. Get with the revolutionary leadership of Bob Avakian now.